This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back to the show. Dr. Dladla joining us here today, the founder of Gramercy Park Integrative, based out of New York City, but she's working with people all over and helping them in so many different ways. Yes, conventional medicine has its place, as she knows, as a medical doctor, but also there's so much more to it that she's helping people with today on top of the medical background, more on the holistic side of things. But she joins us live here again today, and we're going to have another great conversation, as I am positive of. I'm excited to find out more about this integrative type of health and medicine. And for those that haven't been with us so far, just please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, yes. So my name is Dr. Dladla, and I am an internist for over 20 years, but I focus primarily on integrative medicine. So I have a clinic in Gramercy Park. We're at 7 Lexington on the corner of 22nd Street in Manhattan. And our focus is really kind of very comprehensive. So we look at hormonal balance, we do bioidentical hormones, we
Mm-hmm.
deliver those hormones in many ways, pellets, creams, injections. We work with women and men to really balance their hormones and their metabolism. We also do weight loss, and often we do that in conjunction with the hormone health. So we work with, GLPs, but also other modalities to kind of get weight under control or manage the weight appropriately for your body. In addition, we do focus on gut health. I really think that gut health is kind of like the foundation for many things, and if we can work on that level, we can prevent many symptoms, but
So much.
also the development of chronic disease.
Yep.
So we have like a multi-modality program here, and yeah, we're happy to help and be of
Including
service.
the anti-aging, the longevity, the weight
Yes.
loss, the body sculpting. But yeah, as you mentioned, you're talking about cardiovascular health and overall body health. There's also Chinese medicine. I mean, there's so much that you offer with people, even with chronic pain and diabetes and so on and so forth. So thank you for being here again today and for joining us. And what did you have in mind for our listeners today? Because I know there's so many different services that you offer, and clearly you're an expert in so many different fields. So what was on tap for today?
So I thought today we would continue our conversation about gut health and talk about some strategies that we can do to really improve our gut health. As we kind of talked about before, gut health is very central. The microbiome dictates many, many processes in your body,
Mm-hmm.
and it communicates with your cells in a very active way. So when that microbiome is out of balance, that can have many, many implications for all of the organ systems. So there are things that we can do to kind of improve that situation. So I thought that's a good place for us to start.
Perfect. All right, let's dive into it. What are some of the things that can help us get better, feel better?
So the first thing I want to talk about, I think, is diet. So a lot of times the things that we're eating can really either make us feel really good or be very irritating. So it's really important for us to just at least try to become aware of how the food is impacting us. And a way to do that is to have maybe a food diary or just jot little notes where you eat something and maybe 10, 20 minutes later you can see, okay, how do I feel? Do I feel heavy? Do I feel bloated? Do I feel light? And that's a really good way to start that
Mm-hmm.
communication process with. So some of the foods that we can really focus on to improve our gut health is fiber. And we have different types of fiber. So we have soluble fiber, and that absorbs water, and that really helps to create like a gel or protection on the gut lining. And that's really, really important. And we can get that through oats. That's one way. But we have to customize things based on how our body responds.
Mm-hmm.
So some things may be healthy, but your body may not have a good reaction to it.
Yep.
That's why I go back to, keeping some type of journal to see how you feel. The other category of fibers are insoluble fibers, and that really helps to kind of bulk up our stool and allow us to make, good, healthy stool. So, those two components are really,
Yep.
really important to have that in your diet.
Amazing. Well, where do we get this from too? I mean, that's another issue because I don't think we're all eating the right foods.
Yeah, so you can get it from dark leafy greens. That's one option. What's really good is also if you can rotate your foods. So it's important in terms of the microbiome is to have a diverse input because the different bacterial strains are impacted by different foods and certain foods feed those strains. So when you kind of, mix up your diet, that's really, really helpful. So maybe one week you're eating spinach, another week you're eating focusing on asparagus. You're just trying to give your body as much variety as possible so those good bacteria can kind of populate and flourish.
Got it. All right. Thank you for that. And also, just letting you know, I'm still waiting on your notes. I don't have them. I apologize. So,
Oh, no
would you
problem.
mind going down the list of what's next?
Oh,
Thank
sure,
you.
sure, sure. So diversification is really important. The other important issue is water hydration. So sometimes if you have too much fiber and not enough water, that creates not a good situation, creates constipation. So
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you kind of have enough water and fiber together for
Okay.
a good functioning bowel movement. So you should try to drink. You should aim for half your body weight in ounces.
Okay. So, if I'm 120 pounds, I'm I don't know ounces. I got to Google all this. I'm so sorry. So, half my body weight. What would 60 pounds an ounce?
So actually, it'll be like 60, right, ounces. So you want to do half. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So that's very, very important. Water, fiber, and also there are foods that we should avoid. So of course we know about sugar, right? Sugar is something that is very harmful to the gut. Of course, you have to live, so at certain points you're going to have sugar, but to try to have your core diet not be really full with items that have sugar. And the reason is that sugar affects the gut lining. It can make the gut lining more permeable. It can create inflammation.
Okay.
And when the gut is too permeable, that is how toxins leak out into the body, go into the bloodstream, and create an environment for illness or chronic disease. So sugar has a big role in that creating that inflammation. The other thing is processed foods, right? So as much as we can to have whole foods, look at the back, of the ingredients, right? If there are things that you cannot pronounce, then just try to stay away from those foods
Yeah.
if possible. That is just, again, it's helping to nourish the microbiome, helping to diversify the bacteria, the good bacteria, and helping to kind of crowd out the bad bacteria in your system.
Now, also, I know as far as the gut issue, right? And the gut,
Mm-hmm.
shall I say, problems that come with this. You mentioned that there's how do I say it? There's the stress of
Oh
this,
yeah.
right? It's impacting. So and on top
Yes.
of it all, the gut health, we also have stress. So we're talking
Yeah.
about the diet, and then of
Mhm.
course more things that can
Right.
impact our gut health.
Yes, stress is a big cause of many disease processes. And it's not so much having stress because all of us are going to
Yeah.
be exposed to stress. It's more about the way the body responds to it and the resilience the body has to respond to stress. But we have to kind of create a good setup or a good environment so the body can respond properly to stress.
Yeah.
When the body is in, fight or flight, constant chronic stress, you have a lot of cortisol that's pumping through the system. And that, again, creates this permeability in the intestinal lining where those junctions, those tight junctions, they open up. And now instead of food going nicely into the GI system, toxins are going out into the bloodstream. So whatever we can do to try to, regulate our stress, whatever things we like, those are the things that we should try to implement. So for some people, deep breathing, deep breathing
Mm-hmm.
is very helpful because deep breathing, one yoga, another example, meditation, those things done on a consistent basis are found to decrease the cortisol production and decrease inflammatory markers. So I think also what's important is like with meditation, deep breathing, to try to get into a daily routine and
Okay.
not just use it when we're panicking or when we're upset, but have a routine where the body is now being signaled that that the body needs to be able to go into that parasympathetic state, that relaxation state. So the body is acclimated to go into that state. And I say that because a lot of like type A people, very driven people, are so used to being in that sympathetic dominant state. It's very hard to actually sit, relax, rest, and get into your breath. So for that group, it's even more important to do that on a regular basis.
Oh my goodness. Well, by the way, if you are just tuning in, we are talking with the founder of Gramercy Park Integrative, Dr. Dladla, here joining us today, talking about, so many things that are important to us as far as nutrition, as far as stress, as far as our gut, and let alone all that she does. And we can get to that more later with hormones and health. And she just does so much. I can only, it's bioidentical hormone therapy.
Yes.
Again, helping with weight loss, cardio prevention, and again, gut health. It seems to be one of the biggest topics that we're speaking of today. Please continue.
Oh, sure. So we have to also remember about that communication between the gut and the brain. And that's where I go back to this issue of stress and also doing things to kind of relax the body. So there is the connection, and the gut actually releases majority of the happy hormone, or it signals the brain to release those happy hormones. So that is really important. So if our microbiome is disturbed, we're not going to be signaling the right things so we can be in a state of balance. So meditation, deep breathing, or whatever kind of practice that you have that can get you into that state is really important. It even is kind of linked to cardiac health, right? When we
Yeah.
start having cardiac disorders, which we'll talk about in the future, hopefully, it is because often that parasympathetic input is not being recognized. The body is so used to being in overdrive and having, cortisol pumping, all those things pumping. It's not even receiving or responding to that
Mhm.
parasympathetic. So there's just so many important ways that having these kind of practices can help our health overall. But for the gut, it's also really foundational. I think I think another important aspect is exercise. So what was found is that actually aerobic exercise is what I think has been the most studied, and that is shown to have a really good impact on the gut flora as well. So the aerobic exercise kind of signals the GI tract to produce, better bacteria. Also, with the aerobic exercise, it also helps with blood flow. So you have more blood flow, you have more movement, more motility happening. So you're digesting better, you feel better. Another important aspect of exercise is the pH balance. So exercise helps to balance that as well, regulate that as well, to create, again, this optimal environment for the good bacteria. So our idea is to kind of crowd out the bad bacteria with the good bacteria. But we have to find ways to kind of support and feed that good bacteria. Yoga is also really good. Resistance training also helps to improve, the good gut flora. So anything we can do to improve our digestion, get our bodies moving, even if we're doing like 10 minutes a day, say, of like fast walking, even that has shown to have an impact. But the more we do and the more kind of consistent we have, like a regimen, the better our overall health is going to be, and particularly our gut. I have to also say, like, sometimes people over exercise, and that can also have a bad impact on the gut. Because when we are over exercising, doing extreme exercise for a prolonged time, that can also lead to leaky gut. So we have to keep that in mind as well to have that
You
balance.
discussed this last week with us. Just briefly, just tell us a little bit about what leaky gut is again.
Oh, sure. So when I talk about like the permeability of the intestinal lining, I'm talking about how basically these junctions kind of make sure that food passes through our digestive system in a way that's not kind of leaking out into the bloodstream, the body atmosphere. But when you have leaky gut, when you have these, inflammatory signaling, the mucosal lining of the gut kind of gets weakened, worn down, breaks down. And that's how these toxins like seep out into the system.
Yeah.
And though, those toxins can impact many, many different organs. One even is our cardiovascular system. So when we talk about, general gut health, we are talking about prevention, even for cardiovascular disease.
And what is
So
the leading, is that like the leading cause of death still, or what is the
it
most?
is. It
Mm-hmm.
really is, particularly in women. So it's really important that we become aware. Many of us are not thinking about that. Really, when we're younger, we're not really saying, "Oh, it's not going to happen to me. I'm pretty healthy." But there are things that we might be doing, you know, to our gut that could be affecting us. So, it's always good to get like some kind of assessment of your gut. And that's not just like blood work or, typical stool tests that doctors do for like, very like common diseases, but really something to look at your microbiome where you can get a really good sense, okay, what's this ratio of the good bacteria versus the bad bacteria? Do I have any underlying pathogens?
Mm-hmm.
Like what is going on? Because sometimes you don't necessarily have to have a lot of overt symptoms, but you just don't feel well. You feel fatigued, you feel run down. So it could be that there's something kind of creating this continual inflammation in your body on a very like low level. And when that's happening, things are being released into your system that are making you not feel well. So it is always good to optimize, the gut. And that really also is part of our practice with longevity and anti-aging. The gut has to be healthy along with everything else so we can age better.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. And, I just feel like everyone talks about the gut, the gut, the gut, the gut health. This is something, though. Now, let me ask you, like back in medical school, was this such a big thing, or did this all come about like recently? I feel like we never heard about this.
Exactly. No. So in medical school, which was many years ago, 20 years ago, our focus was really on kind of big noticeable diseases like E. coli, parasites, those are the things that we're really focused on. But focusing on that granular level of what the microbiome does and how impactful, I don't think that was something that was on many people's radar. But thankfully now people are much more aware as we have this wellness revolution, right? They're more aware of the importance of these things. But your conventional doctor is not necessarily trained in
Yeah.
that, and they would have to kind of seek out that training or that knowledge to be
Knowledge to
able
get.
to
Hmm.
provide that for you.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much. And also here, as we continue to speak about our gut health and, the exercise factor, just briefly, what is exercise these days? What really counts? What doesn't? I just don't know many people who have the time. Is there little things we can
I
do?
know.
Little cardiovascular stuff? Or is
Yeah.
walking good for, what can we do?
Yeah, exactly. So even if like you're super busy, like 10 minutes of walking a day is really, really helpful. That can also affect the gut health. Yoga, which reduces stress. If you can do yoga like maybe 3 or 4 times a week from YouTube, that's very helpful, or a nice app that you like. Resistance training is really important as well. Particularly when you're older, it's helpful to kind of keep your muscle mass. So that's when you're
Mm-hmm.
perimenopausal, menopausal, that's really key. So even if you have a regimen of like, 4 times a week, that is really helpful. If you don't have time for any of that, or you feel like I can't fit it in, even like that 10 minutes of walking
Yeah.
can have a profound effect on the gut health.
Good.
So I think it's better to kind of start with something that you can do in small, small bites, and then gradually, when your body gets accustomed to it, increase it,
Got
increase
it.
the duration and the intensity. But resistance training, yoga, aerobic, that those things are really, really important. And aerobic exercise has been kind of the most studied in terms of gut health. But whatever one can do, wherever you start is where you start, and then you can build from there. So
Good. All right. Well, and we still have 5 more minutes together. How else did you, want our listeners to know the importance of this, or, what they could do to take to start working with you to help clean up
hmm
their gut?
hmm yeah, so I think the first step you is to have a GI assessment, to do that test to see what is going on with your gut, to really have a sense. And then from there, one thing like we do in the clinic is we kind of create a customized protocol because everybody is different. There are things that are good for the gut in general, but your particular issue is going to be different from somebody else. So once that assessment is done, then it's important to have a customized solution, to work on your gut. And that's something that we provide, and we do it over about 3 months, sometimes longer, depending on the person's situation. And that is like kind of like a reset for the gut. But if you're also doing these things like exercising, trying to get the fiber in, trying to get your water, trying to regulate your stress, those are really important things and good foundational things to help with whatever treatment we give. So that's really kind of where we start.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much. And really, the work that you're doing, by the way, again, based out of New York City, but you are working with clients all over with this, right? You could be
Yes.
anywhere around the world.
Exactly. So we do like virtual, functional medicine assessments. I have a really nice gut health program that I do virtually. So it doesn't matter where you are. We send you the test kits and we work with you kind of track your progress. And we give you a lot more information than just things that you're eating and exercising, but really to have a more holistic, comprehensive approach to dealing with your health and your life in general.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure
Yeah.
having you here, Dr. Dladla. Tell us how we can reach out to you, please.
Yeah, so you can go to front desk at gpi.health. Front desk, one word, gpi.health. You can also call us at 212-970-9401.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure seeing you, speaking with you, and thank you for
Yes,
enlightening us on
thank you.
our health, which is the most important thing. Summer's here, and gosh, didn't you want to feel good? Yeah. And wishing you a happy summer. Are we back again next week?
Yes, we are.
Yay!
Yes.
Your kids are off now. My kids are off as of today. They're the
Oh,
last
yeah.
days today. I'm excited.
Yes, my
And in
kids are
the
in camp
summer,
already.
oh, good, good, good. Well, we tend to forget a little bit more about our gut health. We start eating poorer, I believe, but we're going to stay on track. Thanks to you. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day, sweetheart. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.